Hello, welcome back to Sprouted Dreams. This week I thought we would put together this very unique one-of-a-kind fairy door. I've had this piece of wood that is so beautiful. I sliced it and it looks great on this side, but this side is also so lovely. I was thinking of a bench actually when I sliced it, but I have never wanted to cover this beautiful piece of wood. So what I did was made a shaped door to match with this piece of wood. Now this is actually my second cutout because the first one, when I made the shape, I made it much more narrow, the door itself, so this main part, and then the functionality, it actually wouldn't work because this is so large, it actually needs more space along the side in order for it to function. So I just sort of drew this up. This was on a scrap piece of wood, and this is a bit narrow up here, so I'll talk about that next. But at any rate, when you make your one-of-a-kind pieces, just be sure that the functionality is there on the door. And you also need, you can make any kind of shape you want along two of the sides, but one side has got to have something with a straight line in order for your hinges to go on. And so that's something else to keep in mind. So what I am going to do is, as you can see, this is going to go here. And then, like I said, because it was a scrap piece of wood, this top part, I tried several different pieces. I don't think I have them all here, but I had another piece of wood. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I had this piece of wood, and it made me kind of think of some different shapes to kind of make like an awning, you know, like your front door when you come in. And this is nice, and it fills this sort of gap here, but it didn't have a lot. See, it didn't have a lot to hang on to gluing wise. So I kind of took that out. I didn't want to go with a big curved piece of wood. I tried this smaller curved piece of wood, which does work, but I just didn't aesthetically like the way that it looked. It didn't add a lot visually to the piece. So then I came up with this one. And I think it looks fantastic. I'm not precisely sure. I would love for it to go this way, but of course I don't have the space for that. So I think it's going to go this way and like this, because I think that looks very visually appealing, and it adds, see, to the structure of the door without hindering the actual door from opening. So that's what we're going to do. So I am going to sand this real quick and then glue this up, and I am also going to glue my hinges on, and then I'll come back and show you the screwing in process of the small screws. Anytime you're working with miniatures, the little tiny screws will make you crazy because you'll do all this work and then they'll split your wood. So my solution to that is to glue your hinges on first, then drill, and then screw them in. Okay, so I'm going to do that in kind of fast motion so you don't have to go all the way through it with me, and then we will talk about the decoration process. Okay, so we are all set now with it all screwed in. You might have seen where I had to actually stop and do this one particular screw by hand without the drill because this was too wide for me to get in there with the drill. But also on the drill, if you noticed, I put it down to 1, the lowest setting, because if you over torque these tiny little screws, it's going to really mess with your wood. So we are all set with this in order to go to the sort of paint and stain phase. And so we'll go back to the studio and do that. And then we will be ready to varnish. So I will be back when this has a bit more chance to dry, and we'll be ready to decorate it a little bit more. Okay, this is all dry and put together, and the door, as you can see, opens and closes well. And I've added, by putting this little top piece on, it's given some extra stability to this kind of little thin spot here. I wasn't really thrilled with that, but I used a piece of just, you know, like I said, scrap wood, and added this beautiful piece to it. And now I really want to make it super special. I love this shape already, and I'm probably going to use a wire hanger on the back so that I can screw here and here with some tiny little eye screws, and then add a wire. Maybe not, then that'll interfere with the look back here. Maybe I'm going to need a notch, or I usually use sawtooth hangers. Let me grab one of those and I will show you what those look like this. But I'm afraid that if I put something in here, it's going to kind of, well, maybe not. I guess it does kind of fit there. All right, we will use the sawtooth as usual. And I will add some epoxy in there in order to give it, again, added stability, because this piece becomes kind of heavy with this extra piece of wood here and here. So yes, that works just fine. And we'll drill the holes and place this in and give it a little hammer and a little epoxy. So that's how we will finish it. But I was looking at the embossing powder to see if I wanted to use them on this piece, but I think that might be a little bit too garish. I want to have this beautiful shape that is already here kind of shine through. So for sure, you can never go wrong by adding some depth. So let's start with that. I could either go color-wise into kind of a burgundy like this, or a copper. This is a bronze, but what I'm really favoring is this sort of, it's chocolate brown is what it's called. This is a more full bottle. This one, it's like chocolate brown metallic, or sparkly poo-poo. I don't know. It sounds worse than what it is. It looks very pretty. See, it gives a nice sheen. And there's a little bit of a green to it. So I probably will stick with this. But at any rate, I do think the main thing for us to start with is to get going with this black, because the black is already here on the door itself. So let's start there. The other option was green. I always love green, and it kind of matches, obviously, with any natural pieces that you're working with. But we need a small pointed brush in order to get this black kind of into these recesses, because I've sanded this down very lightly, and I want to just sort of make it look like it has a bit more depth. And once you do the varnish on top of all this, it will blend itself very nicely. Guess I don't really need to do the back side, do I? That'll be hanging against a fence or wall. And then just some black in here. See how that really gives that bit of pop to the wood shape. That may be enough. I mean, maybe we'll just do the black. Look at how that really makes everything have so much more depth. Maybe a little more right here. I have to say, I'm sorry I took several weeks off. We had so many sort of family dilemmas in every which way. And I was unable to kind of function through all that and get the YouTube videos out. And I wasn't really planning on getting a new phone, but lo and behold, I got a new phone. So then there was a bit of a learning curve on that. I really liked my Google Pixel, and I had it for a very long time. So the age of my phone probably indicated my need for a new one. My son was like, "You've got to have a new phone, Mom." So, this now is a Samsung Galaxy S something. I'm not sure the name. I have not had Samsung before. I've been kind of a Pixel girl for a long time, but this had more memory, and I was definitely running out of space memory-wise with the videos. So I thought I would give this a try for a while, and we'll see how it goes. But what's nice is I have the Pixel still, and I can use that if I need to record still. So that's been kind of interesting for a change. Usually you turn in your old phone. Oh, there, I really like that. All right, let's see what this would look like with a bit of the chocolate color. See, look, even after I wiped my finger off, it gives that nice little sheen. I don't feel like it's too garish or fake looking or gaudy. So let's see. Use a bit of a thicker brush, and I'm adding a bit more water here as well because I don't really want this to be very apparent. I just want a little extra sheen or depth where I think that it's a little light. So I'm just going to put this in the lighter places that are on the edges that are taller than, like the black you want to put in the recesses, and so anything metallic you want to put on the uppermost surfaces. So if you put it down in the shadows, it's going to make that come up, and then you won't have the sort of 3D look to this very special piece of wood. Oh, that looks very nice and very natural. I don't feel like that's too much. You almost want to bring the viewer of your piece to look closer, and that's the idea. If there's a bit of shimmer or shine, maybe people will actually come closer to your door and look for the fairies, look for the special flowers, look at the sparkle. There, I think that's just perfect. Yes. All right, I'm gonna stick with that. I don't think we need too much more. Yes, right there. I think that's enough. That way it looks natural and beautiful. And I don't really want to put stain on it. I'm just going to go ahead and varnish this. And so I will take pictures and video and show you what it looks like when it's all dry. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next week. Until then, happy fairy gardening. Okay, we ran into issues. I tried to put the sawtooth hanger on back here, and I had some cracking of this wood here, and I tried to really set this on with some of the 2-part epoxy. I tried more wood glue, and quite frankly, I am just not secure with using this door as is. It's going to break here in this thin spot just because this extra wood here added so much weight to the door. So I'm glad I put these heavy screws on, or the heavier hinges on over here, but it needs more strength to the frame. So what I did was I cut this piece in order to add more to the frame. It's still going to be the same door, but it's going to have this added piece on the back, and I stained it in a darker color to match in with this wood here, and it doesn't add too much to the frame size, but just enough to give this whole thing some more strength. So I just wanted to show you that, and then I'm going to glue this on, and I'll do that in fast motion, and then I'll stain the whole thing. Again, this is all varnished now, and then this is already stained, and we're going to varnish the whole piece together, and then I'll have the pictures at the end. So I just had to put this little extra bit on there so that you would see what happened before the finished piece was complete. Okay, so you can see where it's all glued and clamped now. And the door still opens. And I'm just going to wipe away this excess glue. There is a little bit of ridge on the secondary dark stained frame that comes through here so that the door doesn't over swing shut. Because of the weight, I wanted, again, we're trying to add more stability to the piece as a whole and not sort of tear it down more. So I wanted to be sure that it has like a stopper here, and that's why I left a little bit of the frame there. So if you have a door that's very heavy like this and you want to give it more strength, be sure not to make the additional framing exactly the same, because it won't sort of stop. This might be too heavy and over torque your hinges. So that's why I have this other shape in here. And I think the dark behind it kind of gives a little depth, and it looks like, you know, I meant to do that rather than, oh dear, you know, we're going to have cracking or breaking. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down, and then this will get varnished, and then I will show you the completed piece in the photos at the end. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. Until then, happy fairy gardening.